Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Tyrone Johnson from the Best Show Ever with your WrestleMania 41 review. We're going to review both of the days. Now, before we get started, make sure you listen to the Best Show Ever 2 to 6, Monday through Friday on 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, or watch it on NBC Sports Philadelphia. But I have to say, as we do this, the Monday after Raw was incredible. If only the Raw after WrestleMania, I should say, was incredible. I just wish that Mania had been as incredible because that would have been better. All right, we're going to go through the review and go through all the matches from both days. And I'm not going to give grades, but I'm going to try to think about why they did the things that they did and what went right and what went wrong. Now, on day one, the first match, you have Jey Uso versus Gunther, who was the champion. All right. Now, there was a lot of argument to be made if you knew what this outcome was going to be, that you make that the main event for night one because of to send everybody home happy. And maybe they should have done that. But the main event on night one was done so well that I understand why they instead decided to start the weekend's events with this match. Jey Uso comes out and the Yeets are going crazy. The crowd's going just ballistic. And for the first time in a while, it looked like Jey wasn't fully out of breath when the match starts. I love all the yeeting. I love all of that stuff. Obviously, he's super over with the fans, and congratulations to everybody watching this because you are the people that made this happen. But sometimes in the ring, sometimes people don't love his in-ring work. Gunther has been a great heel. He's been a really good champion. He's had that belt for a while. So Jey needed to leave the ring with that belt. And WWE did it correct. Not only does he win the match, but he makes Gunther tap, and Gunther tapped quick, which is leading to more things on, obviously, the Raw, if you've already seen the Raw after Mania. But that's just a tremendous start. No complaints. Jey Uso is now the champion. I do have some questions about how Jey's going to handle it going forward. How are you still the underdog when you're now the champion? But no downside to that start of it. Really love the start of the show. Then it's a bit of a come down. You got the New Day, who do have a bunch of heat, versus the War Raiders, who I just don't care about yet. I don't have anything against them. I like them better than that whole other Viking thing that they were doing. But I wasn't up for this match. And the other thing that hurts this match is the internet. Now, from what doctors have said, Big E, who was obviously in the New Day, all of you guys all know, that when you break that first vertebrae in your neck, there's a problem. Sometimes it heals, and sometimes it never heals. It's part of the reason why him doing that particular move on a TV match outside the ring as this guy his size is not necessarily the wisest thing to do. It's not his fault. It's also the person doing the move. It wasn't his fault, but there's risk there. I don't think he can wrestle again until that neck heals, that first vertebrae. The problem was there were a ton of rumors thinking, oh man, they're going to bring Big E out. Well, Big E is not medically cleared, and unfortunately, there's a chance he'll never be medically cleared. That, I think, distracted from the match, but the New Day ends up winning. They're now 11-time tag team champions. Again, not a bad match, but I didn't really care about that one that much, to be completely honest. Next match, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, this is a bit of a grudge match, but I have to be honest. While as much as Naomi has done a good job as a heel, and as much as Jade has the appearance of a star, my question overall was, how good a wrestler is Jade? We've seen Jade on national TV, if you watch AEW, for a while now, and she hasn't been very good in the ring. In the ring is what I'm talking about. She clearly looks like a star. She's jacked up. She has all the charisma. She has everything except the in-ring. Credit to Naomi, though, for getting a really good match out of her. The crowd was into it. Jade was able to show all her power moves. She wins the match. Good match. It moves the storyline forward, maybe. Because what's next for Jade? What's next for Jade? Is it Bianca? Or would you rather see Bianca face Rhea Ripley for longer? I don't know yet. Is Rhea now going to face Io going forward and then freeing it up for Bianca? So, good match. Naomi got heat on her early. That was all good. They didn't let Naomi didn't let Jade do anything she doesn't know how to do. So overall, a good match, and you're still with me. So that's why when people say that Mania was so bad, I really don't think so. We'll get to what was bad, but so far in this card, nothing bad. Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight was the next match. Jacob Fatu is super over. He's going to have to be a babyface at some point. He's just an animal, this guy. He looks different. He moves great for his size. And apparently they have some more of this family in developmental that are still going to be up here. So the second win for that Fatu situation as he beats LA Knight for the U.S. title. It was a good match. It was a solid match. LA Knight is also super over, but it doesn't appear they think he can be elevated to true main event status. Maybe they can elevate Jacob Fatu to main event status. So for that match, I thought it was good. And then Haku, former WWE, former WCW wrestler, congratulated him out there. I thought that was really cool. Next match, all right. So there was all this anticipation about Rey Fenix. Now you have El Grande Americano, which is just an American dude faking like he's a luchador. Here's the one thing I have issue with the logic of the match. El Grande Americano has been loading his face and then jumping at people. He loads his face and then he hits somebody with like a metal piece in the head or in the face. Well, my issue is, wouldn't that also hurt your face? I know it's not supposed to be real. I recognize this, okay? But if I took a metal plate, put a mask over it, and then Dylan's running the camera right now, and I jumped and hit Dylan, I think, yes, Dylan would get hurt, but so would I. Why? That's how I ended up winning the match. It was a good match, though. Rey Fenix is super good. I don't want to bury that. Rey Mysterio got hurt in real life. Rey Fenix steps in late. It was a really good match. And, we'll see how long this El Grande Americano character can continue. And it was a well-done match. But sometimes I like, when I'm watching my wrestling, to suspend my disbelief, suspend my logic. How do you load your own face or something and then hit somebody in the head? And that's how. So he cheated to win, which is important for the heel, but that's my only issue. I think Rey Fenix, of that style in the world right now, with WWE purchasing AAA in Mexico, I think this is a big deal. He obviously is a Spanish speaker. That's his first language. He's done a lot better learning English. Getting out of that hellhole of AEW and getting here. And what I mean by that is, no one becomes a star in AEW. No one becomes a star. All right. They have some great matches if you just care about just the bell to bell, but they don't tell great stories and they don't elevate many people into stars. Rey Fenix is a bigger star after 3 weeks in WWE than he was in several years in AEW. So I'm okay with him not winning the match, but I would like El Grande Americano, to win a different way going forward, because I still don't know how he doesn't break his own jaw or break his own face with that finish, just jumping off there. But it was a good match. So again, not bad. All right. This was the match I had the first real issue with of the whole weekend. Tiffany Stratton facing Charlotte Flair. The build-up had a lot of heat in it. Charlotte Flair clearly is flustered by getting booed, which I don't understand because she's a heel. And I don't think she recognized what was going on. She's coming back from a knee injury. It had been a long time. So let me give her every benefit of the doubt. She was really rusty. If I give her every benefit of the doubt. Because I don't want to say she intentionally sandbagged to make Tiffany look bad. I don't want to say she hard-weighed her when she busted up her tooth. I don't want to think the worst about Charlotte Flair. So I'll just say she was rusty. It was not a good match. And when you have a young wrestler who's just out of NXT a couple of years in Tiffany Stratton, and you have Charlotte Flair, when the match isn't good, you always blame the veteran, because what the veteran's job is to do is to not expose the younger wrestler. That doesn't mean that Tiffany Stratton's a great worker, but what it means is, if you're working with a young person like this, you carry them through. You get all the heat on her and allow her to have a big comeback. 1, 2, 3, boom, we know the finish. Instead, there was this back and forth match where it felt like Charlotte was not doing what she was supposed to do and not be in position where she needed to be. I'm going to say this. I don't care how day two's main event was. This, to me, was the worst match on the entire card. And it was because of Charlotte. Now, she's not the biggest villain of the weekend. That'll be The Rock. And we'll get to him. But I didn't love that. Did not love that. And then we had the main event of day one. And this was masterfully done. Seth Rollins is going against CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has a great, has his entrance. First, Seth does his entrance. Roman does his entrance. Then CM Punk does his entrance. His first main event. Paul Heyman's with him to the ring. And Living Color is playing him out live again. He goes on. He takes a selfie before he goes to the ring. All that's great. The match was really good. Moving. But you know what moment we want to talk about before we wrap up day one? It's now all three guys have been beaten up, and here comes Paul Heyman with a chair. First thing he does, what's he going to do? Is he going to hit Roman? Is he going to hit Punk? Is he going to hit Seth? Well, you're not even thinking he's going to hit Punk. He ends up giving the chair to the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns uses it on CM Punk. Then, when Roman Reigns looks like he's going to go hit Seth Rollins from behind, he crouches after already getting Roman Reigns, getting CM Punk. He crouches Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins turns out to be the Heyman guy. He wins the main event. All of a sudden, Roman's going away for a while after the Raw. He's going to make movies. Punk will probably at some point in this next year face John Cena for that championship. And now you have Heyman with Rollins. It was a tremendous finish where you can do a lot of story, and we already know they're doing a lot of story after that. I would have liked Jay versus Gunther to be the main event, and everybody would have went home happy and yeeting in the crowd and the lights, and that all would have been great. But this was so well done. So well done. I mean, come on. You had go to sleep on Rollins. You had a spear on Punk, curb stop on Reigns, and he went. It was just, I'm telling you, it was an A+ match, a great way to finish day one. We didn't end the day happy necessarily, but everybody's intrigued. And that was day one. Now we get to day two of Mania. But day one was all right. I know some people were underwhelmed. I really liked day one, and the main event made up for anything you didn't like. And I think if the Charlotte Flair match had been any good, I think everybody would have been happy. We get to night two. All right. We start off with the triple threat. Io, Bianca, Rhea. Now, here's the weird part about the crowd in Vegas. When Io comes to the ring, no one makes a sound. So the way it worked was Io had the least amount of reaction. Bianca had the second most. Rhea had the most reaction. By the end of the match, though, that completely changed. It was a really good match. Physical. We know Rhea Ripley ended up with a black eye at the end of the match. Io was okay. Bianca, we'll find out about her more on SmackDown. I think she was fine. The entrance was good with Bianca and with the double Dutch and all that stuff. It was a lot of good things. But at the end, it looks like Bianca's going to win. She hits her finish on Rhea Ripley. Instead, Io Sky, who had gotten posted by Rhea, comes off the top rope. She takes the pin, and Bianca takes the pin, and Io Sky is still your women's world champion. This match was anywhere between, and I'm not exaggerating, 1 million and 25 million times better than the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton match. I don't know if Io should have the title long term. She can really, really wrestle. Her English is improving. I always prefer my people to be able to cut promos, but that was a hell of a start to day two. So as still, for people to say that Mania was bad, the whole thing was not bad. It was just, we know it was bad. And we'll get to it. We're near. We're getting closer. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Another good match. I like Damian Priest's new entrance. I like Drew McIntyre. He's so good on the mic. Some people can argue that Drew McIntyre should have a bigger match. Well, who are you going to replace? You want to put him in? He's going to win instead of Jey Uso. He's ahead of John Cena. Like, what were you going to do? Like, what match was he going to? Who were you taking out? Okay, which match were you going to give him? So I think that while he might be deserving, whenever you say someone should make an all-star team or someone should do something, you always have to replace somebody, and I don't see that. Good match. I do have some questions about Damian Priest as he won the world title at last year's Mania. It seems like he's lost some steam. He has to reinvent himself. I think the talent's there, but he's got to find it. Is he better as a babyface? Is he better as a heel? I don't know. But now Drew McIntyre gets his win, and he can build on that and put himself back in the mix with a lot of people because he did have the feud of the year last year with CM Punk. All right. Then you had the four-way for the Intercontinental title, and if you already saw the Raw, you know why Breakker didn't win this match. But it was Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom, Finn Balor from Judgment Day with him, Penta, Rey Fenix's brother. At some point, you know they'll be together. And then Braun Breaker, who came in as the champion. Really good match. A fun match. Four ways are difficult, so it's really good for a four-way. Four ways are difficult. But at the end, with a frog splash, Dirty Dominic Mysterio wins. And then afterwards, he declares himself the best Mysterio of all time, even though his dad has been an active wrestler for north of 30 years and has won titles in multiple nations and everything. What a great heel move by him. The crowd went crazy for him. And we know that Dom has been so hated that he doesn't even have to cut a promo. He starts to usually open the mic and everybody just boos him. I don't know how this is going to go going forward. You know sooner or later Finn Balor is going to turn on him, so there's a natural story there. Penta doesn't need a belt right now because I think he'll end up with the tag team with Rey Fenix at some point with his brother. They'll be together. And we know what Braun's doing next. He's getting elevated, and he's going to be basically in college for this 2025 with Paul Heyman. So good four-way match, and Dom wins the title with a frog splash. And that was a bit of a surprise. And then we get to maybe the highlight of day two. We know that Randy Orton was supposed to go against Kevin Owens. And I don't know why people always think that serious neck injuries aren't serious and Owens going to come out and wrestle. The dude's neck is messed up. He's probably not going to wrestle at all 2025. You might not see him next until Mania next year or the day after Mania next year. The neck is messed up. So we knew there wasn't going to be an opponent. Like we knew that he didn't have an opponent. Randy Orton's in the ring. The crowd goes crazy. That's a classic entrance. He has 20 years of WrestleMania experience. And I don't know who it's going to be. And you didn't know who it was going to be. And all of a sudden you hear, and it's Joe Hendry, the TNA World Champion. I believe in Joe Hendry. And then he does the crowd goes crazy. It was an OMG, what the F, etc. moment. Like, it was all interest. This was all about the interest. I'm shocked. I'm sitting there shocked. I stood up in my house. Obviously, I wasn't in Vegas. He makes it out to the ring. And then he does that turn. The crowd was as loud then. Any moment today, like for that 10 seconds, they were as loud for him as they were when Jey Uso won the title. And to me, it was the highlight of day two. Now, when the match came, here's where people that didn't like the match have to understand. Unfortunately, none of these matches just happen in a vacuum. The difference between wrestling and everything else is there's no off season. They're 52 weeks a year all the time. So you know Randy Orton's going to do something else. And he happened to have came up in developmental with now the guy who's the champion. We'll get to that in a little while. So you could not really have Joe Hendry with no prep come in and have a real competitive match with Randy Orton. So he gets Orton with a couple of moves in the very beginning. Orton takes over, RKO 1, 2, 3. This is the part where I guess people didn't want him to do. He raises Joe Hendry to the one side of the ring and they cheer. He's holding his neck because he got RKO. They go to the next part of the ring. They go to the next part, of the ring. And then when they go to the last part, RKO out of nowhere, he leaves him laying. That made Joe Hendry more famous now because we know the YouTube fans that know. But I'm working with people who had no idea who the hell Joe Hendry was. And now, because of this match, they all know him. You can't only look at, well, he should have did this. You can't look at that. Joe Hendry is better off now losing to Randy Orton than if he did not have that match. I don't care if he got RKO'd in 3 seconds. That was good for him. And when he eventually comes to the main roster or goes to NXT, he's now a much bigger star because people both nationally and internationally saw him, and he's all about the entrance. That also might be a sign that WWE thinks that at TNA he needs to work on his work a little bit. They may not like him in that particular style, but if you think Joe Hendry's not a bigger star now, you're out of your minds. Okay, that was a highlight of the damn thing. All right, this one is tough, the next match, because right now I don't care about AJ Styles, and I don't think any of you do. And then you had Logan Paul. Logan Paul is better at this wrestling thing than he has any right to be. He's better at this wrestling thing than he has any right to be. But there's something, I think is his douchebaggery, his just epic douchebaggery. What I like to think about a heel sometimes is that it's real. I don't think anything about that guy is real. So while I think he's really good in the ring and the drone shots that he's doing and all that stuff is cool, I don't hate him because I don't think it's real. So my only reason to hate him is because he's phony. But his character is not supposed to be phony. And he always puts in a lackey, and then he comes out there and he's trolling and all that kind of stuff. And then Karrion Kross comes out. He hands AJ Styles brass knuckles. He doesn't use them. He ends up catching the punch in the face instead. Logan Paul wins 1-2-3. Logan Paul's cooler. He's cooled down for me this year compared to last year. If you're a bro in the comments, well, just bro on. I don't like him. You can like him though. He's not. You're not supposed to like him, right? Like he's playing a douche. All right. Next is the women's tag team match. Now you have Lyra Valkyrie, who was supposed to be Valkyria. I'm sorry, was supposed to be having Bayley as her champion. All right, against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. We don't know who her thing's going to be, so it's the second time of the night. But it ends up being Becky Lynch. Now, we know what happened on Raw the next day, but that was maybe the third biggest moment of the weekend. Everybody goes crazy. The man is back, Becky Lynch. She probably, she looked good. She's been going since last year's Mania, so she's right after last year's Mania. So it's been, because this Mania was late this year, over a year since we've seen her. She doesn't need to be in singles action to be big, whatever it's going to be. She wanted to focus on being a mom, but she comes back, it goes crazy. You end up with a decent match. Liv Morgan is tremendous. Raquel Rodriguez, something about her ring gear I don't understand, but other than that, she's fine. But Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, they win the tag team titles. We know what happened the next night. Solid match. The surprise was more than anything, and it set us up for the main event. Hey, The Rock, I just want to say this out loud. You suck, man. You suck, The Rock. Like, I don't like you, okay? And you go, well, he wasn't there. Yeah, that's part of the problem. But, all right. John Cena, 16-time champion, no frills, goes against Cody Rhodes. Now, in between this, Steve Austin came out with a four-wheeler. He ends up crashing the four-wheeler a little bit just to announce the attendance. He drives around. That was all fun. All right, here we go. Cody has a cool mask. They come out. There's a couple of things we have to put into this match, okay, in the very beginning. They have a lot of money in John Cena for this last year because he's done in December, and I think that's real. So this is his final Mania. If you thought he was going to come out and do a bunch of hurricanranas or do anything extra that would put his body in harm, you were out of your mind. This is a business. They even did an advertisement about how they're going to Perth, Australia, and they're doing, obviously, SmackDown and Raw, but they're doing a special event basically just for Cena in Australia. They are going to protect him to the utmost degree. Every person he works with, I know you guys might have some dream matches. They're nightmares. They're not going to happen. He's going to work with veterans until the end. Now, he may end up putting a young guy over. Maybe he puts Braun Breaker over at the end when there's no more money to be made and it's all over. But he's going to work with Orton, Punk, Cody, guys that have been in the ring, who have been very safe, and he's going to be very safe. That's part of the reason why some people didn't like John Cena for all those years. So I went into it with different expectations than a lot of people. They were having a fine match. Neither guy was going to be allowed to do that much. There's a lot of money with Cody. There's a lot of money with John, but especially with John, because he doesn't wrestle that often, they were going to be careful. And nothing they did mattered up until this punk-ass Travis Scott comes out. Travis Scott is one of the smallest men to ever be in a wrestling ring, and that includes the referees. He's a small dude. He's not tough. He interferes with Cody. Cody he ends up in the ring. Cody pushes him. The referee, a matter of fact, the referee had already been knocked down. Here he comes. Then Cody's getting ready to pin him. He pulls the ref out. Somehow, Travis Scott pulling the referee's legs and pulling him to the floor knocked the referee out. The most unrealistic thing. Travis Scott couldn't pull nobody. He couldn't pull your toddler. Okay? The referee's knocked out. So now John Cena grabs the belt. Cody takes it from him. Now, Cody could have just taken John out. That was supposed to be the big twist. Instead, John Cena hits Cody Rhodes across the head, knocking him out. Right at that moment, the referee wakes up and he wins 1, 2, 3, and he's a 17-time champion. The Rock doesn't come out, and why'd you need Travis Scott? Now imagine you just do this without Travis Scott. John Cena just cheats to win as a heel. You go home mad, but you say, you know what? Obviously, Cody will get a rematch. He didn't. But instead, you just were thinking about, well, where's The Rock and where's Travis Scott? This is the problem. Now, I found out that the only reason Travis Scott was there was because The Rock went way above Triple H, way above a bunch of people, and got Travis Scott signed. That's why they were playing him. He had the official song. That's why he performed that weekend, because he likes wrestling. The Rock thought that it was cool that he can say with his old behind that he's friend with Travis Scott. Well, so what the hell? I don't care about Travis Scott at all. It added up to a bunch of crap and maybe the worst WrestleMania finish in the history of the business. Now, the Raw of the day after was incredible, but that was trash. That was trash, and it's all The Rock's fault. It's all The Rock's fault, and that's what's so disappointing about it. If The Rock doesn't get involved, and then after Elimination Chamber, Cody comes out to like shake John's hand. John just kicks him in the groin, cuts a promo about why he doesn't like him. No Travis Scott, no The Rock. It's just Cena turning heel, completely out of nowhere. None of that stupid giving your soul crap that The Rock did. All of this is way better. The Rock's interference ruined WrestleMania. And one thing I don't allow people to do is mess with my mama, rest in peace, or mess with my WrestleMania. And I won't have it. And therefore, The Rock is now public enemy number one. He ruined WrestleMania. All right, that was Tyrone Johnson's WrestleMania review. We'll be doing these live after the other main events. We had some staff things going on, but that is my time right now. And if you disagree or agree with everything, make sure you put it in the comments.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching our YouTube. If you want to help us out, go ahead and like and subscribe for us. If you liked what you saw, go right over here to our playlists and pick out whatever you want to watch.